Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me today for a video on corner gaps when you've got sheetrock that is not attached to a 2x4. And that's exactly what I'm dealing with here. I have been in the process of removing batten strips from a living room, dining room combo in a manufactured house. And this is the last corner that I have to deal with. And this is 9-foot walls. And everything's been going great until this point. I have got sheetrock that was not attached to a 2x4 at the factory. So I can't just fill this with a bunch of hot mud. The gap is far too big, number one. Number two, there's nothing back here. There's nothing back here to secure the sheetrock. So even if I go to all the trouble of filling in the gap and I tape and I mud, if anybody butts up against this wall or furniture comes up against this wall or even just time, the settling of the house, this is going to crack, okay? The work will fail. So basically I'm going to have to get on the other side of this wall, which is in my office, which actually right now looks more like a construction site. I have to get on the other side of this wall and I'm going to have to install a piece of wood. And then I can come back in here and I can place drywall screws and I can finish this corner out properly. I'm doing a video because I want you to see what not to do. I couldn't find any videos on YouTube or any do-it-yourselfer websites at all discussing what you need to do in the situation I just showed you with that corner. So I decided I'm going to do a video myself, and I'm including the disastrous part of my work. So, hey, I'm prepared to be blasted. I don't care. I'm not a professional contractor, but if you saw the condition of my living room and my dining room right now, it looks like it was professionally done, let me tell you. But hey, it's my own home, so I'm very, very careful. And I've watched a lot of videos on how to properly tape and mud, and it's turned out really, really well. It's just, unfortunately, I'm at this stage of the process, and this right here, this has not turned out really well. Thankfully, it can be repaired. That is one of the wonderful things about taping and mudding. It's very forgiving. If you have a disaster, it's very easy to repair. I just want to cover this real quickly. If you run into the same situation and you come across this video, I just want you to see what not to do. Here was the theory, guys. The theory was you cut this side of the wall, you open top to bottom, you open it like you would a refrigerator door, you do the repair work on the inside, and when you're done, you close it like you would a refrigerator door, and then all you got to do is fill in any gaps and tape and mud, right? And then your wall looks like it did before, minus a batten strip, and you're done. Not a big deal. Well, here's where I screwed up. What you never, ever, ever, ever want to do if you decide to do this same method, okay? Because I didn't want to replace the sheetrock. I just don't see the point. I have learned so much about taping and mudding, and I have repaired massive gaps in my sheetrock slats. I repaired a hole in the wall that was not properly taped and mudded when we bought the place. So I've worked with this stuff long enough to know how to tape and mud properly. So even if I put a gaping hole in this thing, I could repair it. So for me, there's no need to replace a slat of sheetrock. So I just said, hey, I'm going to go in and do this work myself, and whatever happens, I can fix it. I know I can fix it. But what I didn't know and what I should not have done, because I didn't think it through, was I should have never attempted to try to separate my sheetrock in the middle of a stud. The reason why is when you try to pull the sheetrock back, so you can get into the other side to do the work, you're left with not only crumbling sheetrock because, it's been glued, but you got to contend now with staples and screws. All these slats of sheetrock, they get glue on them. They have to attach the sheetrock with glue. So, there's glue underneath this side of the sheetrock where it attaches to the stud. And so like a dummy, I'm thinking, well, I'll just cut down the middle of the stud so that when I close this piece of sheetrock, like I would close a refrigerator door, when I go ahead and I fill in the gap, well, all my mud, can disperse, on top of the stud. And then I've got stability. I won't have a board that's moving, right? It wouldn't move, right? Because basically I would close this flap and I would fill all this in here. Well, no. All I ended up doing was creating myself a huge mess because I've got glue under here. And now I've also got to contend with staples and screws. So what I have figured out doing this myself through trial and error is you want to cut immediately next to your 2x4. And then you could technically, if it's a small gap like this, 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch, you could technically try to fill in that gap with plaster of Paris or hot mud. But that's not what I'm going to be doing because I don't want to take a chance that I might have an issue with my mud not attaching to this stud. So when I'm finished with my work on the other side of this wall, I'm just going to go ahead and find another long slat of wood or several pieces, whatever I got to do. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach a slat of wood to this. And then I'm going to replace my drywall, and I'm going to use drywall screws. I'm just going to go in, and I'm just going to fix this and then tape and mud it. That's what I'm going to do. Again, why am I putting this out? I want you to avoid this. If you run into the same situation where you've got to cut into one wall to fix another wall, you don't want to cut in. You don't want to cut into the drywall that's on top of a stud. You want to go next to the stud. And again, you can fill in the gap next to the stud after you close your drywall up, or you can just go ahead and install some wood, a slat of wood, and use drywall screws so you've got a nice solid backing. Okay, so I hope this video helps you guys out. Again, I totally expect some really not so nice comments. It's not a big deal. Heck, if anything, it might draw some attention to the video. I just want people to be aware of what you might encounter when you're a do-it-yourselfer and you cannot find any help on YouTube. And that's why I created this video. So I hope it helped you guys. I hope it was informative. And if some of you out there who are pros have some tips going forward, because as you can see, I've got more rooms to do in this house. Let me know. Pop it down in the comments and let me know. I mean, I want to be educated properly. Right now, I've just encountered more work for myself. I'm going to have to use more material. It's going to take more time. I can fix it, but going forward, I really don't want to waste time and waste materials if I don't have to. So I appreciate your comments. I hope this video was helpful. You guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.